"I am only being honest with you because I love you," he said, right before he brought up my childhood trauma to win an argument about household chores. His face was calm, concerned even, like a therapist delivering a diagnosis. But I saw it then, the flash of satisfaction in his eyes when I started doubting myself instead of him. That is what they do. They collect your fears, your insecurities, your childhood wounds, your embarrassing moments, your private shame, and they file them away like ammunition. Then, when they need to regain control or punish you for daring to challenge them, they pull out exactly the right weapon and present it wrapped in the language of care. I am just being honest. I am trying to help you grow. No one else will tell you the truth. I used to think honesty was supposed to feel like relief, like finally someone sees me and still loves me. But this did not feel like relief. It felt like exposure, like standing naked in a spotlight while someone narrated all my flaws to an invisible audience. Let me take you back to how this started, because it did not begin with cruelty. It never does. When we first got together, he was the most attentive listener I had ever met. He would ask me deep questions about my childhood, my past relationships, my fears, my dreams, the kind that made me feel seen in a way I had never experienced before. I remember thinking, finally, someone who actually wants to know me. Not the surface version, but the real, messy, complicated me. I told him about my mother, about how she used to criticize my weight when I was a teenager, how I still heard her voice in my head every time I looked in the mirror. I told him about my ex who cheated and how it left me with this gnawing fear that I was not enough. I told him about my anxiety, about the panic attacks I used to have in college. He held my hand. He looked into my eyes. He said, "Thank you for trusting me with this. I will never use it against you." I believed him. For months, it felt safe. He remembered everything. He would bring me tea when I was stressed because he knew caffeine made my anxiety worse. He would reassure me when I felt insecure. He made me feel protected. But then something shifted. The first time I noticed it, we were having an argument. I cannot even remember what it was about now. Something small. But in the middle of the conversation, he stopped, took a breath, and said, "You know, I think this reaction you are having right now is really about your mother. You are projecting your need for approval onto me, and it is making you defensive." I froze. He said it so calmly, so clinically, like he was a therapist making an observation, not my partner throwing my trauma back in my face during a fight about dinner plans. And the worst part, I started to doubt myself. Was he right? Was I being defensive because of my mother? I spent the next 3 hours in my head dissecting my own emotions, wondering if I was the problem. The argument about whatever we had actually been fighting about just evaporated. Because now I was fighting with myself. That became the pattern. Every time I pushed back, every time I set a boundary, every time I expressed a need, he would reach into his little mental file cabinet of my vulnerabilities and pull out exactly the right one to destabilize me. If I asked him to be more present, to put his phone down during dinner, he would say, "I think your anxiety is making you need constant attention. We talked about this. You have to work on being more independent." If I got upset about something he did, he would say, "You know, your ex really did a number on you. You are looking for betrayal everywhere. I am not him." If I questioned why he canceled plans last minute again, he would say, "I feel like you are trying to control me the way your mother controlled you. I need you to trust me." Every single thing I had shared with him in love, in trust, in the hope of being known, became a tool to make me question my own reality. And he always framed it as honesty. I care, as growth. "I am just trying to help you see your patterns. I am the only one who will be real with you." I started to feel like I was going crazy. I would bring up something that hurt me, and within minutes, we would be talking about my childhood, my anxiety, my insecurities. The original issue would disappear into this fog of self-analysis, and I would end up apologizing for being triggered, apologizing for being too sensitive, apologizing for not being healed enough to handle his version of honesty. This is not actual honesty. Honesty does not feel like an ambush. Honesty does not take your deepest wounds and use them to win an argument. Honesty does not make you feel smaller. What he was doing was collecting my secrets and using them against me. He listened not to understand me, but to gather data, not to connect, but to control. Think about it. We are told that sharing our vulnerabilities is the foundation of close relationships. So when someone asks us to open up, to share our pain, to let them in, we do it because we think we are building a connection. But he was not building connections. He was building a database. Every conversation where I shared something personal was reconnaissance. He was gathering intelligence. And the more I shared, the more ammunition he had. I started to notice the timing. He would bring up my insecurities most often when I was asserting myself, when I was doing well, when I was feeling confident. It was like he had a radar for my strength, and the moment he sensed it, he would remind me of my weakness. I got a promotion at work. I came home excited, ready to celebrate, and he said, "That is amazing. I am proud of you. Just be careful not to let your anxiety get in the way. I know you have a tendency to self-sabotage when things are going well." I published an article I had been working on for months. He said, "This is good. I can see you are finding your voice. Just make sure you are not overcompensating for feeling invisible as a kid." Do you see what he was doing? He would take my win, acknowledge it just enough to seem supportive, and then immediately attach it to a flaw, to a wound. For this reason, I should doubt myself. It kept me small. It kept me second-guessing. It kept me dependent on his interpretation of my reality. Here is the truly insidious part. When someone knows your deepest fears, they do not even have to say them out loud to control you. They just have to hint at them. Just raise an eyebrow, give you a certain look, use a certain tone, and your brain does the rest. You police yourself. You shrink yourself. You edit yourself before you even speak because you do not want to give them more evidence that you are broken. I became terrified of my own emotions. Every time I felt angry, I wondered if it was just my unresolved problems with my mother. Every time I felt hurt, I wondered if it was just my abandonment wound. Every time I felt anxious, I wondered if I was being irrational. I stopped trusting my gut because he had convinced me that my gut was just trauma dressed up as intuition. And that is exactly what he wanted. The moment I started to see it clearly was when I told him I needed space, just one weekend to myself. I was exhausted. I felt like I was disappearing. And he looked at me with that same concerned expression and said, "I am worried about you. This need to isolate is concerning. It reminds me of what you told me about your panic attacks in college. I think you are retreating instead of facing what is really going on." And something in me just snapped, not in an explosive way, in a quiet, clarifying way. I thought, I told you about my panic attacks so you would understand me, not so you could use them to trap me. That was the moment I realized that every piece of myself I had given him had been turned into a cage. I started paying attention differently. His version of honesty was always one-directional. He could tell me everything that was wrong with me, everything I needed to work on, every way my past was harming my present. But the moment I tried to give him feedback, he would shut it down. "I think you are projecting. I think you are being defensive. I think your anxiety is making you see problems that are not there." His honesty was a weapon he wielded. Mine was a threat he deflected. I started to test it. I would share a new insecurity, something I had not told him before, and I would wait to see if it showed up later in an argument. It always did. I told him I felt disconnected from my friends. A week later, when I wanted to go out with a friend, he said, "I am glad you are trying to reconnect, but I think you use your friends to avoid dealing with us. It is a pattern." Every vulnerability became a diagnosis. Every confession became evidence. And he delivered it all with this calm, measured tone that made me feel like I was the one overreacting. But here is what I finally understood. The truth does not feel like a trap. The truth does not make you question your sanity. The truth does not require you to doubt everything you know about yourself. What he was doing was not truth-telling. It was reality warping. He was taking my actual experiences, my actual feelings, my actual memories, and telling me they meant something different than what I knew them to mean. He was denying my reality to control me. And when you combine that with using my own vulnerabilities against me, you get a particular kind of psychological violence that is almost impossible to name while you are in it. Because how do you explain to someone that your partner is hurting you by being too honest? How do you say that the person who knows you best is using that knowledge to harm you? It sounds paranoid. It sounds like you are the one with the problem, and that is the trap. I started writing things down, not to show him, just to hold on to my own reality. I would write down what actually happened before he could reinterpret it for me. I wrote, "He canceled our plans again. I felt disappointed." Before he could tell me, "You are being controlling. You have abandonment problems." Writing it down saved me, because I could see, in black and white, that my reactions were normal, that my feelings were proportional. I started talking to a friend I trusted, someone who had known me long before him, and when I told her what was happening, she said, "He is using your therapy against you." That phrase hit me like cold water. My therapy, the work I had done to understand myself, to heal, to grow. He had turned it into a weapon. She said, "The things you told him were supposed to help him love you better, not control you better." That was when I started researching. I would search phrases like, "partner uses my past against me," and "honesty that feels like abuse." And I found thousands of stories. Thousands of people describe the exact same experience. The partner who listens so intently at the beginning, who makes you feel so seen, who then uses every single thing you shared to destabilize you later. I learned that this is a specific manipulation tactic. Someone collects your intimate disclosures, your secrets, your fears, and then deploys them strategically to maintain power. And the reason it is so effective is because it exploits the very thing that makes us human, our desire to be known. The turning point came during another argument. He was doing it again, taking something I had shared with him months ago and using it to explain away my legitimate anger. And instead of spiraling, I just said, "I need you to stop." He looked confused. "Stop what?" "Stop using my past to destroy my present. I told you those things so you could understand me, not so you could use them against me." His face changed. The mask slipped, just for a second, and I saw it. Annoyance, anger, the look of someone who just had their favorite tool taken away. He recovered quickly. "I am just trying to help you see your patterns. I am trying to be honest with you." And I said something I had never said before. "Your version of honesty only goes one way, and it always makes me smaller. That is not honesty. That is control." Silence. He tried a few more tactics. He told me I was being defensive. He told me I was projecting, but I held my ground. I did not justify. I did not argue. I did not defend. I did not explain. I just repeated, "I am not going to let you use my vulnerabilities as weapons anymore." The relationship ended not long after that, because once I stopped accepting his version of reality, once I stopped letting him reinterpret my feelings for me, there was nothing left. And he made sure to tell everyone that I could not handle honesty, that I was not willing to grow, that I was too damaged to accept helpful feedback. But I know the truth. He did not love me enough to be honest. He loved power enough to pretend honesty was the same thing. If you are reading this and something feels familiar, if you have ever felt like the things you shared in love have been turned into evidence against you, I need you to hear this. You are not too sensitive. You are not too damaged. You are not incapable of handling the truth. What you are experiencing is not honesty. It is strategic emotional violence disguised as care. Real honesty is not a weapon. When someone truly cares about you, their honesty will feel like illumination, not humiliation. It will help you see yourself more clearly, not make you doubt everything you thought you knew. If someone's version of honesty consistently makes you feel smaller, more confused, or more dependent on their interpretation of reality, that is manipulation. Pay attention to the timing. Notice when they bring up your vulnerabilities. Is it when you are asserting a boundary, when you are doing well, when you are challenging them? If their honesty always surfaces when you are finding your strength, it is not designed to help you grow. It is designed to keep you contained. Notice the direction of honesty in your relationship. Can you give them feedback? Can you point out their patterns? Or does every attempt to be honest with them get deflected back onto you? Healthy relationships have bidirectional honesty. Abusive relationships have honesty that only flows one way. Your vulnerabilities are not evidence against you. The things you have survived, the ways you have been wounded, these are not flaws. They are not ammunition. They are not proof that you are broken. When you share them with someone, you are offering them a map to love you better. If they use that map to hurt you instead, that is about their character, not yours. Document your reality. Write things down, not to prove anything to them, but to anchor yourself. Write down what actually happened before they reinterpret it. Write down how you actually feel before they tell you how you should feel. Your journal is not paranoia. It is survival. Test their honesty. Share something new, something vulnerable, and watch what happens to it. Does it stay safe, or does it show up later in an argument? If your vulnerabilities are not safe with someone, nothing else about you is safe either. Stop defending your reality. You cannot win an argument with someone who is rewriting the rules of reality itself. When they tell you that your feelings are just trauma, that your reactions are just patterns, do not engage. Just hold your truth and disengage. Reconnect with people who knew you before this relationship. They will remind you of who you are. They will mirror back a version of yourself that is not filtered through your partner's interpretations. Listen to them. Understand that you cannot fix this by being more healed. This is not about you being too damaged to handle real intimacy. This is about them using the language of healing to hurt you. No amount of therapy, no amount of self-work will change the fact that they are using your vulnerability as a weapon. The problem is not that you are not healed enough. The problem is that they are hurting you. Reclaim your story. The narrative they have built about you, the one where you are too sensitive, too broken, too defensive, that is not the truth. That is their justification for treating you poorly. You get to decide what your story means. You get to decide what your past means, not them. Leaving does not mean you could not handle honesty. Leaving means you could finally see the difference between honesty and abuse. It means you chose yourself. They will tell people you were not willing to grow. Let them. You know the truth. You grew enough to see what they were doing. You grew enough to walk away. That is the growth that matters. If you are in a relationship where your vulnerabilities have become weapons, where your partner knows exactly which buttons to push because you gave them the manual, you are not questioning your sanity for no reason. You are experiencing a specific form of psychological abuse that is designed to be invisible. It is designed to make you blame yourself. It is designed to make you think the problem is your sensitivity, your trauma, your inability to handle the truth. But the problem is not you. The problem is someone who listens like a therapist and strikes like an aggressor, someone who collects your secrets like evidence, someone who uses your desire to be known against you. You deserved someone who would hold your vulnerabilities gently, who would use what you shared to love you better, not control you better, who would honor your trust, not exploit it. The fact that you did not get that is not proof that you are unlovable. It is proof that you loved someone who did not know how to love you back. Your story is not their weapon. Your past is not their ammunition. Your healing is not their tool. You are not too much. You are not too broken. You are not too sensitive. You are a person who trusted the wrong person with the right information. And now you know the difference. Now you know what real honesty feels like. It feels like safety. It feels like respect. It feels like someone helping you see yourself more clearly, not making you doubt everything you thought you knew. Now you know what this manipulation looks like, and you will never unsee it. That knowledge is your protection. Trust it. Listen, I know this is heavy. I know if you are watching this and recognizing yourself in this story, your chest probably feels tight right now. you are probably wondering if you are overreacting, if maybe he really is just trying to help. But here is what I need you to understand. That doubt, that is exactly what he wants you to feel. Because as long as you are doubting yourself, you are not doubting him. The fact that you are here, watching this, asking these questions, means some part of you already knows the truth. Trust that part. Listen to that part. That is the part of you that is still fighting for yourself. You do not need to have all the answers right now. You just need to start paying attention. Start writing things down. Start holding on to your reality. Start reconnecting with the people who knew you before him. And I promise you, once you start paying attention, you will see the pattern. You will see the timing. You will see how your wins get poisoned and your wounds get weaponized. You will see how honesty always flows one direction and always makes you smaller. And when you see it, really see it, you will know what to do. You are stronger than you think. You are smarter than he has made you believe. You are not crazy. You are not broken. You are not too much. You are someone who deserves to be loved without being controlled. Someone who deserves to be known without being used. Someone who deserves honesty that feels like safety, not sabotage. If this video helped you see something you needed to see, hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel because I am going to keep making videos that help you recognize these patterns and protect yourself. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. You might be saving someone from years of questioning their own sanity. Drop a comment and let me know if this resonated with you. Just let me know you are here, because sometimes just knowing you are not alone in this is enough to help you take the next step. And remember, the fact that you loved someone who used your vulnerabilities against you does not make you weak. It makes you human. It makes you brave. The only mistake you made was trusting someone who did not deserve that trust. But now you know, and now you can choose differently. You have got this. I believe in you, and I will see you in the next one.